Did it ask you for your permission?
It asked me for consent. Yeah.
Laura,
I consent.
You consent. You consent to talking to me. Woo! That's first out of the way. Laura consents to talk to me. Guys, it's season 14. We start every season of just
everyone.
Disbelief.
But also this one, I feel like, so while we were gone from recording, we hit our 5-year anniversary in February.
Which is freaking nuts. So nuts.
That's the craziest part for me.
Other random things that have happened while we've been gone. Let's see here. We're now listened to in 135 countries. We still are only in 49 states because of North Dakota. I just looked again today.
Call somebody. Call who you know.
If anybody knows, I put something on Threads multiple times. I'm like, do we just need one person in North Dakota? And then we have all 50 states. The border. Yeah, right? Who's up? I would say who's close, but there's also nothing close up there anyway. So
South
but
Dakota?
Yeah, right? So anyway, 135 countries. Man, oh yeah, so we have the sponsor follow that we're sponsored. If you check the link on the bio, I do a little promo audio thing. It's a tracking bracelet, so they donate 10% of their proceeds to some really awesome conservation organizations. Some of the biggest ones that Laura and I have actually worked with and partnered with whenever we were in zoos.
Are they Save the Rhino? It's one of them? Maybe?
Yeah, tons of them. Save the Rhino, San Diego Zoo, Diane Fossey Fund, some very, very major ones. So if you guys check and click on the link on the bio, it's 20% off the tracking bracelets. And it is really cool. It has an app, and so you can go on there and see. Luke and I have sharks, lions, gorilla, whale shark. We have a lot of really cool ones, and then it gives you a little blurb about them, and then you can watch where they are, and it is pretty darn neat. And I think
it'd be such a good gift.
It really is
different jewelry and an animal.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So yeah, check that out. What else?
You're gonna do this Texas bird thing?
Oh my goodness. Okay, listen, I don't get nervous about birding, but I'm actually, Texas,
because
right?
That's an absurd thing to be nervous about.
I'm nervous. Okay, listen. Okay, so Texas, we have like 634 plus species of birds within the state. One, I get it, Texas is huge, but we're also very diverse, and we are the central flyway.
Yeah,
it all comes
you guys have an absurd amount coming through.
Yes, anything from South America for the most part is like, whoom, like right up. The ones who don't want to cross the Gulf or go up through Florida, through the swamps, they're like all up our way. So it is nuts, spring migration. I was out last weekend. We hit kind of like a peak migration. It was unreal, everything that I was hearing.
Marsh level?
Yeah. No, absolutely McGee Marsh. So if you guys don't know what McGee Marsh is, it's in Ohio. Laura and I went to it whenever we were in college. It's kind of the last stopping point for birds before they have to fly over the Great Lakes to get to Canada. And so there's just
like
tons of
birds.
Yeah, and it's tons of birds, tons of people, photographers. It's nuts. But imagine that, but all over Texas. And tons of people travel to Texas, like birders travel to Texas for spring migration. It's crazy. This is the 30th year. I knew it was a big milestone year. So this is the 30th year. The Great Texas Birding Classic has been going on. So there's different groups that you can do. You can either go by yourself, you can join a team. There's kids divisions, and basically and there's the big sit competition that's all wrapped up into one.
Funny that you guys, it's like a straight up sporting event. Of course it is.
My gosh, it is. Like, it so freaking is.
I love the nerd level. We don't have that here. We have like City Nature Challenge and stuff like that.
No, this is like
not the Great Birding Classic.
No, right? And of the teams, let me look here. I don't know how many teams are actually in it this year, but there's 22 pages of teams.
You got to tell everybody what your team name is.
The Cheeky Warblers. A big ode salute to one of our warblers that's endangered in Central Texas.
Warblers.
Yeah, so it's when a teammate came up with that name. So there's me, and then I have two other teammates who are great, other birders. Coincidentally, so there are two other female birders. One of them I met whenever I was standing out looking for the burrowing owls that were here. And I was standing out there, and somebody pulled up, and then she got out, and I like peeked because I was getting cold, and so I peeked my head out. I was like, "Are you looking for the burrowing owl?" And she's like, "Yes." And then we just stood there. We were looking for the owl together. So
as birders do.
And again, she's like our age and stuff. And so whenever she got back, she reached out to me on Instagram and stuff. Was like, hey, and then was later on was like, hey, we want to do this team. So we're doing a dispersed flock regional, all right, because there's state level, there's so dispersed flock, we each kind of go our own separate ways. So there's 3 of us and Luke, my son. You have to be over 18 or you have to do the youth division. So he's an honorary, a non-competitive one. So we have a region. Let's see here. We are the Prairies and Piney Woods West. All right, is our region, because that's how many different areas are in Texas. It's nuts. So we spread out, again, dispersed flock. So we spread out, and then it is literally have you seen the show, the old game show where somebody's running through, what is it, the shopping one where they're running through and just grabbing?
Yeah.
That's legit what it is.
It is birds.
It is as fast as you can. Dispersed flock, because you're pretty much individual. If you're going in groups, because the intact flock is you go around together, but typically you're at a park or at somewhere all together. Dispersed flock, it is on the honor system, but people take it serious. So it's public shaming and shunning if you're going to cheat. And so you can't use bird calls, but you can pish as much as you want.
All right.
So it's there's some little caveats and some rules to it, but it's 12 pages of rules for this thing. Yeah, so it's exciting, and so that's why I said I'm nervous, but it's 24 hours, right? So and so it's because of the dispersed flock. It's from April 15th to May 15th. You pick your day within that window, right, for dispersed flock. So we could pick whatever 24-hour day. We wanted to do it today, but it's rainy and all gloomy out, so we postponed it to tomorrow. We just have to. You pick your day. You have to let Texas Game and Fish know 24 hours ahead of time. And so you let them know, say, hey, this is the day we're doing it. This is the day we're going out. And then you just disperse out. We all keep track of all of our birds that we do, submit eBird. We all do one big group eBird and submit it all together. And then if you win, you're recognized at a huge conference that's, I think, down in San Antonio for this year. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, so it is a pretty big deal. But again, I mean, people come from all over the world during spring migration to Texas. So it is a huge deal. I haven't been down to the Rio Grande Valley yet, but that has that's a whole other ecosystem of birds.
There's a birder that I know that was telling me about there's some specific kingfisher down there. I think that's only on the Rio Grande.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, there's several species that are down there that are only there's some owl, like a teeny tiny owl that's only down there.
Mm-hmm. There's a special crow.
Yep. Yeah. There's a ton of stuff that is just down there. So people think Texas and they automatically go to tumbleweeds and cacti, and it's no, we have prickly pears, but cacti that you're picturing, the huge ones, that's Arizona. So that's further west. Yeah. Texas.
That's a lot of prairie.
Yeah, a lot of prairie. So it's very diverse. And so we have so many, again, 634 plus species that are recognized. And so yeah, it's really exciting. And then for Luke and I, this is coming off of, we just got back a couple weeks ago or so from our big booby adventure. Thank you to everybody who supported.
I feel half the people who are listening are I didn't know she was listening to birding.
Maybe,
so
yeah.
You guys have to look up Katy's
Wildly
own
Katy,
stuff.
yeah, Wildly Katy.
Look up Katy's birding adventures on Wildly Katy.
And what's funny is when I get into these rants at work, everybody's I'm listen, I do have other hobbies. I do other stuff outside of work because I'm a mom too. But this is and thank God Luke really enjoys it now too. But this is my me thing. This is my mom time, and I love it.
Birding
and
so it's relaxing and exciting at the same time. It's a treasure hunt, but a treasure hunt on a slow pace.
Exactly. And so I love it. And so those go and look at my Wildly Katy on Instagram. And I do post them to our YouTube page for the podcast as well. All the links are in the bio and stuff. But we did a little bit of fundraising. We had a lot of supporters. So appreciate everybody who donated to help us start Luke off on his adventure. He wanted to see all the boobies in the world, AKA all 7 different booby species. We were hoping for 2 whenever we went down to the Texas coast. We got 1, the red-footed booby, and that was a lot of fun. You want to talk about pressure because people donated and we weren't seeing it.
Find a booby.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed after the first day and a half of not finding it. At that point, we had probably put 9 hours or so into looking for it and hadn't found it. I was stressing out, and then we ended up seeing it. So that was super exciting. So yeah, through all this, thankfully, Luke really enjoys it, and he really gets into it too. Because again, he's gonna get home from school tomorrow, get a little bit of sleep, and then it starts at midnight. And so we're gonna go a little bit past midnight, and then up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we're gonna be out starting birding. So yeah, so a lot of research has gone into it. I'm going to be posting a bunch of videos about everything that goes into it. But yeah, there's a lot of prepping and planning that goes into make the most of your 24 hours. So
gosh, it sounds so exciting. I want to do it. I wish they had one in Maryland. I would totally do it.
It's fun. You have to fly down then one year and do it.
We have breeding bird atlas and things like it's just not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not like to the level of Texas. I'm telling you, man, it's just Texas. You just take things to
bigger in Texas.
Yeah, for better or worse. So, well, this is going to take a drastic turn because today we're talking about nature zombies.
From birds to zombies.
Yeah,
if you have never listened to our podcast before, this is not that atypical.
Yeah, this is pretty common. Normally, Laura is the one that makes the jump and somehow of connection. I'm like, birds can be affected by some of these, like
birds get parasites. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about fungi and parasites and how they can take control of our host, creating a state of basically like living death.
I'm so ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if I've said it once, I have said it 1,000 times. Fungi are freaking awesome.
They are really cool.
Molds, yeast, mushrooms, and more. They're all over our world, filling every niche available. Some are beneficial and others aren't so much. And so I'm going to talk about some of the scary ones that literally hijack a brain.
This whole episode, first of all, I'm so sorry, guys, that we're kicking off with this episode. It's cool, but at the same time, it's like, ugh, you know what I mean? It's like, ugh.
Because at least mine are not able to do anything to people.
Mine are. I audibly gagged multiple times. Continue.
Yeah. Because the parasite one, I know can affect some mammals. Anyway, So let's start with some good news. Like I said, at this time, we are only aware of parasitic fungi that can hijack invertebrates. We just better pray it never jumps to mammals. So we are only talking about inverts with mine, typically because warmer bodies are just not good hosts to fungi. They need cool,
that makes sense,
moist habitats. So real quick, I'm going to do how does it work with fungi even getting inside of something, and then I'm going to go into my 2 different examples.
Okay.
So fungi spread through spores, like we've talked about in previous episodes, kind of like seeds. These little teeny tiny spores get stuck to an invertebrate, which is an animal without a backbone, and then that penetrates their hard outer skeleton. Once inside, they rapidly bud, which is when things just start splitting apart, and fill the host. Once the host is dead, they typically produce new spores to infect a new host. This can look different, but that's the whole point. It's to infect something to then spread itself and start the cycle again. Some of these parasitic fungi may have very specific hosts, like specific species, and only that. Some are more generalists.
Yeah. But that's crazy from an evolution perspective. You know what I mean? To be
that they're actually they're one thing. That's my thing.
Specific. Yeah. Yeah.
And usually in nature, that's such a detriment. Usually you should never be that niche because then you're there's too many other pressures that can make you disappear, but apparently not for fungi.
Yep.
Okay. So not all parasitic fungi even hijack a host and change behavior. There are some just plain old parasitic fungi that just are living on and in things. But we wanted to talk about zombies, so mind control. So there's the 2 that I wanted to talk about. One is Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, which is a type of yeast. Okay, because again, we're talking invertebrates, so it's got to be the tiniest little fungi. So a yeast type of fungi.
Yeah.
Specifically infects carpenter ants. Now there are different types of carpenter ants, but that general ant.
We've talked about some of those. Yeah, we talked about some of the ants before too.
Yeah. And like this specific fungi has likely been around for 48 million years from fossil evidence. So
Jeez.
in 48 million years, it has actually only gotten more specialized rather than more generalized. So if it hasn't jumped to mammals in 48 million years, it's probably never going to make the jump. Thank goodness. Knock on all the wood.
Yeah.
So, and
I don't
when
know, though,
say
dude. This would be the year that it would happen, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my 2026, like,
like,
what
of
else?
course.
Let's just have the fungi, parasitic fungi, just jump from invertebrates to vertebrates. Might as well this be the year.
No thanks. The Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, that sounds like a species, but it's actually like what's called like a, not a complex, but it's kind of like that. It's more than just one species. It's like a grouping of this type of fungi. And so, but they're really hard to tell apart, which is why they just lump them all together like that.
Yeah.
Normally, ants are creatures of habit, and they follow swarm behavior, as we've also talked about in a previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
They follow pheromone trails when they're foraging, and they stay with the group. Like, that's the ant way. But when they're infected by Ophiocordyceps, this changes their behavior. So the ant veers off, wandering around erratically. Eventually, it climbs up to a high point, almost always 25 centimeters off the ground.
Does it jump?
Very specific.
Does it jump?
Locks it. No, it grabs on with its jaws onto the underside of a leaf and dies, clinging on. Okay.
Huh.
So they know fossil evidence is the leaf scars that they're finding on fossilized leaves, knowing that the ants were doing this 48 million years ago. So after death, a stalk bursts out of the back of its head and releases spores to the surrounding area. It looks like a little like antenna.
That's straight up X-Files crap right there.
It's terrifying. Like if you were the size of an ant, it would be horrific. So how does it control behavior? I mean, it doesn't even, we're talking about a fungi. Fungi don't have brains of their own. So it's hijacking a brain without having a brain. It's still a little bit of a mystery. They're discovering a lot about this stuff, but it's, I mean, probably not the most well-funded thing.
Yeah,
and
right.
they're finding out as they go. So evolutionary biologists have this cool term that I just discovered doing research for this episode called an extended phenotype. Did you come across that at all for parasites?
Don't remember.
Basically, an extended phenotype is when it's an extension of you. So these ants are extended phenotypes of the fungi. They are no longer ants. They're walking fungi.
Interesting.
So it's a cool concept and term. So it's becoming an expression of the parasite's genes, whether that's a parasite like we're thinking or a parasitic fungi. So this guy wrote, while the manipulated individual may look like an ant, it represents a fungal genome expressing fungal behavior through the body of an ant.
Fungal behavior?
Yeah, fungal behavior. Right. We don't even think about fungi as really having behaviors.
Behavior,
they do.
Interesting.
So this guy who really knows the most about it, Hughes, he went to Thailand into this rainforest in 2006 and 2007, and he was doing a lot of research on these ants, and he kind of saw that they were walking around drunk, which seems to show that there's something wrong with the central nervous system.
Yeah.
And it does. But also,
if it was gonna make if it was gonna make the jump to anybody, it would be that researcher that's up in it all the time. Like I would be wearing a mask. You know what I mean?
100%.
I would be paranoid
I would not be
to be
convinced
like
that
that it's not gonna jump. Like maybe it's because it is very out there in the rainforest and not a whole lot of people are around to do it. And so it's like, I'm going to study this.
Yeah, it just hasn't had the chance.
Yeah, it just had, now it is. And then you grow a big freaking stalk and and then you go up there climbing 25 feet high, grab onto the bottom of a branch. Yeah.
It's horrible. Well, right, because so they go outside of the nest, which is also atypical behavior for the ant. Yeah. It's like, all right, but there's also shows that, so if an ant feels sick, it leaves the nest because it doesn't want to infect all of its
nice of them.
Coworkers. It's the family, you know. Yeah. So the fungi had to adapt to work with that behavior. If it's gonna leave, fine, you can leave, but you're gonna walk up 25 centimeters and die at solar noon. when that happens.
Why is
Solar
it that
noon.
you always find the most specific, like,
right,
animal?
with those crabs.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, again,
That
this
is
is
so
like some witchy
specific.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So up at solar noon, which is the optimal time for the fungi's growth and reproduction, they looked at it and found that their heads were just packed with fungal cells, and their jaw muscles had been atrophying so that when they clamped on, it was like a death grip. They never can let go. So, like, the fungi is not only hijacking behavior, it's atrophying their jaw muscles. Like, the whole thing is just taken over. So they think that the fungi is releasing some type of neurotransmitter that's like serotonin,
Yeah.
noradrenaline, and dopamine, which is, I mean,
Okay, so to be fair, it sounds like a pretty sweet high as you're dying.
Right, it's just a chemical cocktail that's making you do this.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like you kind of slowly, positively trip into your death.
Yes, they were like, they found that serotonin going down in ants is known to prevent them from foraging, right? In other animals, disruption of these can cause hallucinations and muscle spasms. So, like, maybe they're seeing something pleasant. Maybe they're eating a giant cupcake.
Are ants hallucinating of just being like, the crickets, like, or the grasshoppers, like, running away?
No, they just go up and they sink their jaws into a giant cupcake.
Yeah, right?
That's it.
That's it, yeah. They have no clue, none the wiser.
And it's like doing stuff to their circadian rhythm. It says it secretes an enzyme that's also shown to increase activity in the insect host, so like the noradrenaline, and it also activates genes that cause lockjaw and suppress the immune system. So it's like, all right, you're infected. Immune system's gone. That allows the fungus stuff.
Yeah, to take
lockjaw,
over. Yeah.
All of it. And
Man.
finally, they also found a gene in it that has been shown to be overactive in patients with Alzheimer's disease. So they thinking it's something with the fungal cells killing and displacing the ant's brain cells. So something similar. So it's even crazier. My mind, here's where also your mind will explode again. The parasitic fungi, this particular parasitic fungi has a parasitic fungi of its own.
What?
Yeah, they're called hyperparasites.
Oh, geez.
That's a thing. New fear unlocked. Hyperparasite.
Yeah. God. But I mean, every parasite needs a pet, I guess.
Well, thank goodness it does, because it's the kill switch for this fungi. So its own one stops. If without it, they think it might like literally kill all ants.
That's
it would just go nuts. Already, there's like, you can find the entire colony in the rainforest. You'll just see a mountain of dead ants, like, that have been like falling eventually as they decompose.
Yeah.
Because it's been happening over time. So you're like, the fungus is present here. Here's a mountain of corpses.
Yeah, jeez.
But that it would be so much worse without the hyperparasite.
Yeah.
And this cordyceps thing, what I have been saying is Ophiocordyceps, which is actually what this is. You might have heard cordyceps before because it became super popular in the show and the video game The Last of Us. They used the term cordyceps fungi. That's in that show. It was taking over humans and stuff. Cordyceps used to contain Ophiocordyceps, but now they are separate families. So that is a totally different fungi.
Gotcha.
As of 2023, there are 35 known species of this that are able to control the behavior of ants, but they think that there's maybe hundreds more, which is...
Of course, yeah, because again, it's but it's also like very understudied, and that's crazy. Yeah.
All right, and then the other one that I wanted to do that actually you might be familiar with is the Masospora cicadina, which is the one that infects cicadas. Where they mate. They they mate and their butts fall off. Yeah, that one.
Yep.
So this is also referred to as an extended phenotype. So it's just fungal behavior. This fungi infects only periodical cicadas that come out every 13 or 17 years. It's brood X. So this one was the one that came out just a couple of years ago.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, recently.
Seeing them everywhere.
Yeah.
And their butts were all gone. So it's the only known predator or pathogen synchronized to the cicada's life cycle, because nothing else is like able to time it. Like, there's no other predator of that brood that's just that.
Yeah. That's that specific for it.
Yeah. And it has 2 stages of infection. So stage 1 are dormant spores in the soil that infect the nymphs as they crawl up through it. Okay. Those stage 1 infected nymphs grow up to become adults that spread stage 2 spores. Stage 2 spores go from adult to adult in the same generation.
Okay.
And then those infected adults drop the dormant spores for things to start all over again.
Dang.
So, like,
okay.
you can either be infected as a baby or as an adult. It's the same fungi, but it's 2 different ways of it happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Your chances just got horribly worse here.
Yeah. Both stage 1 and stage 2, what happens is the abdomen, its butt, becomes distended, and you lose the last couple segments of your abdomen.
I
No big
mean,
deal. Just your butt cheeks fall off.
Yeah, you just slough off some butt cheeks here.
Genitalia included, sometimes.
Poor guys.
Which is real unfortunate.
Yeah.
In both sexes.
Oh, and jeez, oh man.
Yep. And then the breached abdomen. Ugh. The open abdomen. Just the open abdomen is covered. It exposes all the white spores and allows them to disperse.
Guys, I am so sorry that we picked this as our first episode.
Yeah, it's a rough one. Dude, there was the article specifically that I was reading about this. Also, like, the terms that it used, the language, I actually just had to copy and paste some because it was just too good, the way they talked about it.
Yeah.
So here's an excerpt. Even cicadas that have lost the terminal halves of their abdomens behave as if they were sexually responsive and can be seen engaging vigorously in courtship behavior and attempted copulation with other individuals. Thus, it is relatively common to find a healthy cicada with its genitalia plunged into the abdominal spore mass of an infected partner.
Oh, that's so gross.
Plunged into the abdominal spore mass.
That's
or
gross.
to see healthy cicadas attached to fragments of the abdomen or genitals torn from their infected partners. There are pictures of just a male with female genitalia that he's ripped off of her because she's rotting.
That's so gross.
It's truly like zombies having sex with each other.
Yeah. God, that's gross.
So gross. And so that's like what it looks like, but the way it changes behaviors, how's it hijacking the brain? It seems to cause specifically males to wing flick in response. So when cicadas are breeding, males call, females do this like flick their wings to be like, I'm ready. This is causing males to also do that wing flick because the fungi doesn't care how it's spread.
Yeah.
It's just like, come, breed. So everybody's breeding everybody. Male, female, male, female, like.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
The boys are doing the wing flick, but only from stage 1 infection. So only if they got it as a kid.
Okay.
So it makes, and so because it's from ones that got it as a kid and not adult to adult, that is showing that it is not physical damage that's making them do this. It's actually a behavior change. And it doesn't take a behavior away. It adds a behavior because those males are also still breeding with females. They're just also willing to breed with males too.
Yeah, because they just want. I mean, the fungi just wants to spread.
The fungi wants to spread spores. And then they think that the compound is cathinone, which is basically responsible for them becoming sexual zombies. It's a natural amphetamine, so they're just all amped up.
Yeah,
like
just breeding away. Like I gotta do it. Yeah.
We actually use this compound in medication that helps repress appetite and heighten attention. ADHD meds. I mean, it's like ADHD meds.
Right.
So they are hyper-focused on, I got to have sex.
Yeah.
And I don't want to eat, just bang.
Yeah.
So that's the fungi behavior. So essentially, this parasitic fungi, it's a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I was like, this is like a cicada STD.
It's an STD that hijacks the brain.
Which, I mean, that's syphilis if you let it go long enough. You know what I mean? Like,
although, I mean, technically then I guess, is syphilis is bacteria. Yeah. Because
I think so, yeah.
With stuff. So, but I don't think, I guess the bacteria probably, it's not bacteria though that's.
Correct. It more like degrades it. Yeah, pulls it apart. Right. Yeah.
Whereas this is the fungi fungal behavior, not cicada behavior.
Which is nuts because I never thought, again, this goes back to like, I'm gonna have to look. Do trees have behaviors now? That's what I'm gonna. That's the rabbit hole I'm gonna go into after this.
So yeah, if you're an invertebrate, watch out because there are some parasitic fungi out there that want to hijack your brain.
That is crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, so Laura talked about the fungi. I'm going to talk about parasites, which this is like
hijack brains, which is the craziest and most horrible kind of parasite you can imagine, right?
Yeah, this is like
parasites are already bad, right? Like nobody wants a tapeworm, but when it can influence behavior,
yeah, that's terrifying, terrifying. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is hairworms, which that alone, yeah, is just.
Is this the cricket one?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hang on. Wait, yeah. Well, multiple things. Okay. So hairworms fall under a group called the Nematophora, also known as horse hairworms. They're found pretty much worldwide. Freaking, of course they are. As long as there's access to fresh water at some point in their life cycle. So ponds, streams, temporary pools,
I found one in my aunt's pool.
I swear. I would be.
It was like this long and going.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I was like, that's got to be what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Physically, again, like Laura just said, they're exactly what the name suggests. Long, extremely thin, almost like thread-like worms. Like, gross.
There's like a hair swimming.
Yeah. Yep. Most are just a few millimeters thick, but they can grow anywhere from a few inches to over a foot long. So you end up with a parasite, that is like wildly disproportionate to the host it's living in. And I'm going to get into that here in a minute. So the primary hosts are terrestrial insects, things like crickets, grasshoppers, and mantises, like of whatever variety. And that part does matter because they're land-based animals. They're not aquatic, they're not seeking water, and in most cases, water actually is something that they pretty much like avoid unless they have to. So right away, the setup that I'm going to be talking about doesn't make a lot of sense because like Laura said, she saw it on a pool. That's where these normally live. Okay, but talking about crickets.
Crickets don't live in there, yeah.
So, yeah. So let's walk through the life cycle because then it's not very random. All right. So hairworms, they start in water. Adults reproduce there. And the eggs are laid directly into the fresh water. Again, anything from ponds, pools, it does not matter. When those eggs hatch, the larvae don't immediately go into crickets or grasshoppers. Instead, they infect small aquatic organisms first, things like insect larvae that are already living in the water. So just find something while it's there. It's like, this will do for now. That's step one. Step two is then this transfer, all right? Those infected aquatic organisms get eaten by terrestrial insects like crickets, grasshoppers, mantises, and things like that. Whether they like come out because...
Oh, right. Because we're talking about larvae that then hatch and fly away. Yeah.
Yep.
Like mayflies and stuff.
Yep. And so then whenever they leave, then they're eaten by the crickets, the grasshoppers, mantises, and that's how the parasites then get into their main host. So at this point, you've already got a multiple step system, right? You already have water, aquatic host, terrestrial host, like as it's moving through.
They might be pretty far from water.
Yep. And so this isn't accidental. It's like everything else, it's very specific, repeatable pathways that gets the parasite exactly where it needs to be, which is like pretty much every parasite has like a cycle of steps. All right. Once it's inside the terrestrial host, that's when the real growth happens. This is okay. I can make it through. All right. So the worm lives in the body cavity of the insect and starts absorbing nutrients directly. It's not attached to like a specific organ. It's just basically occupying the space and taking what it needs. Like it's just in it. Okay. And it starts to grow a lot. All right. To the point where you can have a worm that's several inches long inside something like the size of a little cricket. Okay.
I've seen horrific videos of them like getting stepped on and stuff coming out. And you're like,
what? Yeah. It's so gross. But what's interesting is for the most of this phase, the host is still functioning completely normally. It's moving, feeding, behaving exactly like you'd expect. There's no obvious signal that something's wrong, which is, I think that's like the most terrifying part, is that it's totally normal. It's just kind of there. Now, eventually when the worm reaches maturity, at this point, it needs to then get back to water because remember, that's where it breeds, is in the water. That's where all this started. Okay, but again, like I said earlier, hinted to earlier, one problem: hosts don't go near water. So the parasite solves the problem by changing the host behavior. Infected insects start showing very specific shifts. They move towards moisture. They're more likely to head towards like reflective surfaces, things that mimic light bouncing off water. So it's almost, it's just like, oh, what is that? Like it just starts all going towards that stuff because it just doesn't know. It's just like, oh, I need to get there. Like I need that. And over time, that builds to the point where the insect will actually enter the water, not stumble into it, not accidentally fall.
Eat itself in.
Yep, just go into it. And again, that part, like that's the important part about all of this, because that isn't random, or it's not like a stress behavior. It's not like a dying animal that's acting erratically or something like that. It's like targeted, like repeatable manipulation that it like lines up with exactly what that parasite needs to finish its life cycle. So once the host enters the water, that's the final step for the parasite. The worm exits the body. It's not subtle. This can be rapid, physically dramatic. This long worm thread-like thing emerging from a smaller insect. At that point, this like it just kind of like, I don't want to say it doesn't like burst, but essentially just like burst, right? But again, it's a terrestrial animal already in the water. It's probably already dead. You know what I mean? Like it's drowned because it's
drown
like
anyway.
Yeah. So it comes out, and then here we go. So the obvious, and then it just repeats again. So the obvious question is, how is that control and all of that actually happening? Because it's not a physical force. The worm isn't like in there, you know, pulling it towards water. Yeah, and anything like that. So what research has shown is that hairworms produce bioactive molecules that interact with the host nervous system. So this one is nervous system based. So while it's in there, specifically, they produce proteins that are very similar to the host's own neural proteins, things involving like signaling, movement, behavior, all that kind of stuff. And so that's where it kind of gets its like molecular mimicry, for lack of better terms. All right. So whatever the parasite is producing, that protein mimics its host protein, like signaling proteins. And so then it just like copies and duplicates it, which is crazy. The parasite is, again, essentially producing compounds that resemble the host's own, and because of that, it can interfere with normal signaling pathways without the host necessarily recognizing like, hey, there's something wrong. And so instead of overriding the system outright, it kind of like works within it, just changing the output of where it's going. So again, it's not brute force. It's like a biochemical interference on behalf of the parasites.
And you wondered, like, is it making them thirsty? Is it like, I mean, you can't ask an insect if it's getting thirsty.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Like, why the water?
I get thirsty. Yeah. Why are you going and doing this other than like, it just doesn't know? So when you zoom out or zoom in even further, all right, we're going to talk a little bit about studying here, down to the molecular level, it gets even more precise. And so it's like, it's cool whenever it's like a parasite, but then as people started to study it and keep going in layers and layers and layers, it actually gets like more and more fascinating, because it's like, yes, it's doing this, but how? Like how? Studies have identified hundreds of proteins produced by hairworms while they're inside the host. So it's not just like a few that it does. It produces like a cocktail of all kinds of different proteins. And a lot of those proteins are linked to things, like I said, the neural development and signal transmission. And it basically tells the system, controls it, how the host processes information and responds to it. So it isn't like a blunt, like one pathway effect. It suggests like a pretty high level of like very specific of how the parasite is interacting with the host nervous system and how it's shaping its behavior like slowly over time. So as it's producing this cocktail, it releases these different cocktails at different pieces and parts that would go along, and it's just like a slow takeover of the parasite or of the host where it doesn't even notice. So from an evolution standpoint, it is pretty like an interesting strategy, because hairworms are classic examples of like what Laura was talking about, the extended phenotype, essentially, because it is the organism's genes influence something outside of its own physical body. Because isn't that what you said it was? Yeah. So this would be an example of that. I didn't come across it, but I wasn't looking for it either.
Yeah. I just randomly came across it.
Yeah. So that's hairworms. All right. Now the next one I'm gonna do is the Toxoplasma gondii.
I was hoping you were gonna do this one.
Yep. And of course, I mean, you just had a baby. You have a cat, so I was like, well, this seems fitting.
Yeah.
So
this is the one that like they actually do think influences humans.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's why they tell you to like don't scoop litter boxes when you're pregnant and stuff.
Like not even
precaution.
pregnant. Like they think like that this might make people more reckless and stuff.
I wouldn't be shocked. So Toxoplasma gondii is a single-celled parasite. So completely different from something like a hairworm, right? You're not dealing with a visible organism here per se. It's microscopic, but still capable of having pretty significant impact on behavior, obviously. Again, this one too, found worldwide and infects a wide range of animals. Rodents are one of the primary immediate hosts, and then cats, we'll get into all of that. So let's go ahead and break down the life cycle just like we did for the hairworms, all right? This one's weird, but it's not as gross as I don't know, the hairworms just creep me out.
Yeah.
So if you look at the life cycle, it's very structured, just like everything else, like I said earlier, and it has very specific steps that it has to take. All right, it starts in the environmental stage. The parasite is shed in cat feces in the form of oocysts. Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, or like oocysts, an oocyte, whatever. Yeah.
Oocytes, yeah, whatever. Which are basically like hardy infectious eggs. We'll just say that. Those contaminate soil, water, food sources, anything in the surrounding environment. From there, it moves into the intermediate host. Rodents typically pick it up by ingesting it. Once it's out inside the rodent, the parasite forms cysts in its bodies. You'll find those in muscle tissues, but more importantly in the brain. And then the final stage then is back to cat, right? And so it knows where to go.
Cat. Yeah.
Yep. So an infected rodent gets eaten by the cat, and once it's inside the cat, the parasite can reproduce in the intestines and completes the life cycle. So again, it's like, yes, multi-step system, but it's very direct. Every stage is pushing towards like one different outcome. Now, inside the intermediate host, those cysts can persist for a very long time, and it isn't a quick infection. It can be chronic, sitting in tissues, especially, like I said earlier, the brain. So where the behavior shift of all this starts to happen is in the infected rodents, you see specific change, reduced fear of predators. All right, which is what Laura was hinting at. She said, like, oh, people get it with reckless behavior.
I think it could have been poison, but I did see a mouse out in the daytime once that wasn't afraid at all, and it was almost like going in circle.
Yep.
Like there was something wrong with it, and I was like, I wonder if this is toxo.
Yep. Probably. And again, it's not like it's it's almost targeted, where it's not just like a strolling about its way and it's like, oh, there's a cat, oh, whatever. No, it's like, oh, cat, like, let me go see it, kind of thing. They lose their natural aversion to cat odor, which I thought was fascinating. So it's not
so
just
specific.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not just a mental thing. It's like, because again, rodents, they smell, predators coming, and they're like, that is gone. And in some cases, that actually shifts into like something closer to attraction, which is what so it's not a, oh my gosh, this is a predator nearby. It's like, oh, that smells good. And it starts to like, and again, so it's like very particular, because again, it's the parasite in it that's like, I need to get to a cat, which is also like crazy, because it just
so cool though.
Yeah. So instead of avoiding areas where the cat has been, these rodents are more likely, like I said, to move towards them. And the outcome is obviously pretty direct. It increases the likelihood that the rodents get eaten by a cat, which is exactly what the parasite needs to move on to its final host stage. So how, just like I talked about the hairworms, how is the toxo actually doing this? All right. Toxoplasma is interacting with the host nervous system at a chemical level. Same thing as what the hairworms did. It alters neurotransmitters.
And the fungi too. Yeah.
Yep. It alters the neurotransmitter system with a strong link to dopamine regulation. That's like the biggest thing that they notice in these rodents. One of the key chemicals involved, dopamine is involved in like the motivation, reward, but then also risk taking. So at the same time, the cysts tend to form in areas of the brain tied to fear and risk processing. So not only does it like affect its smell and everything like that, but it's also like up in the brain, like deteriorating and getting rid of it and interfering with all the neural pathways that are tied to fear and risk processing, because it just like doesn't give a shit anymore. So you've got the parasite sitting in the brain in the exact regions that influence how this animal is going to respond to danger. And that starts to lead towards the shift in how the signals are processed, just kind of like the hairworms. So again, it's not like it's a zombie, like where Laura's was more like full control. It's more like behavior modification, but
I
it's
more
gonna
like the
end
cicada.
up,
Like it's an added behavior.
yeah,
Or it's like it's not full on.
taken away. Yeah, because it's not afraid of the cat anymore. So it's not necessarily like a taking over the brain. It's changing how the brain responds. But therefore, it's going to lead to its death, because if it like doesn't care about, cats anymore, it's just going to go whoop right to them. So there is a lot of ongoing research into all this, because again, the fear that how much does this affect humans, and at the neurochemical
I've read some
level.
Things, they think that like, could it have some influence on, like, is it a coincidence that humans who are very impulsive, like how many of us actually already have toxo? And is it just correlation, or is it causation that it causes impulsivity in humans?
Yep.
Because wouldn't that be crazy that something so little can cause people to take crazy risks?
Yeah. And again, like the ones that they have suspected have it, it is like a out of the norm behavior. But it's also like, I don't know, you said earlier, it's like an addition. It's like addition through subtraction, right? So you already, you should be afraid of these things, but you're not anymore. So because like that has taken away, in place of it is like, let's go do this kind of thing. Like it just has no concept. So they're looking into just that within these rodents to figure out what the heck is going on there. How is it doing it? Why is it doing it? And all the exact mechanism used. Another big question that they're looking at is, why does this specifically affect fear of cats? Because it's not like the rodents lose their fear of all predators. What? The rodent. Like it's saying. Just cats. Yeah, it's just cats.
Because other things eat rodents.
Yep. Nope.
Why don't they lose their fear of owls or their fear of
specifically to cats?
It's got to be because the cat intestine is most hospitable.
That's what I was just going to say. I would assume that that's it. Or if it is like if it needs like the smell and fear kind of thing, like you're not going to necessarily smell an owl, just like you would smell a cat, because it's going to leave like a
snakes,
trail. Yeah.
Or they're just more likely to run into a cat than any other predator.
I guess.
So the parasite has evolved to be most common predator.
I guess.
I don't know.
I guess. Yeah. So they're looking at, like Laura said, correlation versus causation, what is going on there. So looking into that, because, risk-taking, reaction time, decision-making patterns are altered. It's important to understand and so that we can, as humans, be more careful, because if this starts to affect humans more, it's like crap. So again, it's small. You're not going to really see it. Hairworms are so disgusting. Heebie-jeebies. Just gross all around.
Thank goodness fungi isn't a problem for us, at least the parasitic.
Now.
Brain one. Yeah.
Right. All right, guys, that wraps up our first episode. So just like the previous few seasons we've done, we're going to be doing mini episodes, and this one should be really fun. These are animals you've probably never heard of, or things you've never heard of. Is it animal specific? I can't remember.
Specific.
Yeah. So it's animals you've never heard of. We're going to be talking about all like the very niche, very like specific things that just aren't mainstream. So next week it'll be the mini episode before we're back to a longer episode, and then we go mini episode, and we keep rotating like that. So yeah, that is Nature Zombies. Stay away from cat poop. Don't be a cricket or grasshopper or an ant.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's
or a cicada.
Or a cicada. That's our life lessons, our takeaway message for you today. Just don't be any of those insects.
Ooh, yeah, actually, I'll leave you on. So people, because of the cicadas, it's an amphetamine. Some people are like, well, if I eat enough, will I also have, it affect me like methamphetamines? No. They said you'd have to eat so many cicadas for it to be a thing. It'd be disgusting. Ugh. Like spore infected. No. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it.
Well, all right, we'll leave you on that note then.
Talk to you next time.
All right, bye.